Hi, this is Theo from PocketBlocks.com. Today I'm going to review this box set of Winsor & Newton watercolor sticks. These are the Winsor & Newton professional watercolor sticks. The set that I bought comes with 10 colors and they come with this lightweight tin case, which is very nice. Each of these colors, they are held together on this cushion here, which is very tight, so it's a bit difficult to take them out. But it's not too difficult. So usually when I use them, I will just take them out from the cushion and put them onto the cover like this so that I can use them easily. And when I finish with them, I'll just put them back. But I think after this video, I'm just going to remove the cushion altogether. The first thing that struck me when I opened the box was just how small these sticks are. Let me compare this to a pencil. You can see that the sticks, they are just slightly thicker than the diameter of this wooden pencil. These sticks are actually squared off, so you can get sharp edges if you use the edge to draw. But they are really small. Let me compare this to the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks. You can see the Daniel Smith stick is perhaps 1.5 times larger. So these are really very small indeed. This is a very simple color chart that I have drawn. Let me use the sticks and talk about the colors at the same time. The words on the label are actually very small. This is Winsor Yellow. This is Series 1 Permanence A, uses the PY154 pigment, and this is semi-transparent. And this is made in France. This label, you can actually peel them off to reveal more of the stick, which is what I have done here. So let's use this and see how it looks like on paper. I'm going to use the stick dry on dry paper. Later on I will test it on a wet surface, and then I will make the stick wet and test it on a wet surface, and then a wet stick on a dry surface, just to try out the different types of effect you can get with the sticks. So this is Winsor Yellow, and this is cold press watercolor paper that I'm using. So you can see that the paper is a bit rough and the stick is not able to get into the valley of the paper tooth. And if you want to use a lot of pigment, you have to press down quite hard. One thing I like about the watercolor stick is when you are using it like this, there are no flicks that come out. So sometimes with drier crayons, you have these little flicks that come out when you use them. So this is Winsor Yellow. I'm going to add water later on with a water brush. So let me just leave this. This is cadmium yellow hue. It has a light fast rating of A. And this cadmium yellow hue uses 3 pigments, PY65, PY97, and PW6. So I'm trying to press as hard as I can to get as much pigment on the paper. And the reason why I'm pressing so hard is because I know in advance that in order to get a dark shade, in order to get a vibrant color, you actually have to use a lot of pigment here. This is yellow ochre, PY42 and PR101. Yellow ochre has a light fast rating of a AA, so this is very light fast, very good. Next up we have cadmium red hue, which is a single pigment color, PR255. This is interesting because this is actually transparent. I always thought that cadmium colors, they are opaque, but this is a bit different. This is actually a hue. I guess it's not that poisonous if you use a hue instead of the actual cadmium. This is quite nice. And here we have Alizarin Crimson with a light fast rating of B. That means this is not very good in terms of durability against sunlight. There are 2 versions of Alizarin Crimson. One is the permanent Alizarin Crimson, and then there's the one that is not that good, which is this one, the Alizarin Crimson. I wonder why they included this. Winsor Newton, they have 48 colors in the range, but they do not have permanent Alizarin Crimson. They only have this. Next color is Prussian Blue, also a single pigment color. This is ultramarine. Let me try and find Prussian Blue. Alright, this is Prussian Blue. Oops, I actually pressed too hard and it broke off. Since that it has broke off, I can also demonstrate another technique. You can actually break off the stick and use the wider edge here to color it so that you can fill up the space much faster, like this. And again, see, this is a cold press paper. It has a lot of tooth. And later on I will use a hot press paper just to let you see the difference between this and hot press. I actually did not mean to break this off. So anyway, the sticks are quite durable, just that I pressed a bit hard just now. This is Ivory Black. Where's ultramarine? This is ultramarine. Transparent, light fast rating of A, which is quite good. So now I'm just going to press closer to the edge so that it doesn't break off again. This is Winsor green blue shade. In other brands, this is probably phthalo green because this uses PG7 and it has a light fast rating of A. And we have burnt umber and earth color. Burnt umber uses 3 pigments: PBR7, PR101, and oops, it broke off again, and PY42. I guess I'm not that careful. Doesn't matter. You can actually use, they are still usable, just that it's a bit inconvenient for me. And lastly, we have Ivory Black. Ivory Black is has a AA light fast rating, and this is supposed to be opaque. This is a water brush. I'm using this brush because of the synthetic bristles. I don't want to damage my sable brush because I know from experience when using water soluble medium like this, some of this can be a bit difficult to dissolve. So usually I will scrub them really hard. And for Winsor & Newton watercolor sticks, I think they do dissolve quite well, quite nicely. Although some parts here you can see there is the grain of the paper showing through. One thing I want to point out right now is that the colors does not seem to be very strong. I wonder why. Anyway, let's move on to the next color. This is cadmium yellow hue. This is a bit stronger. Next is yellow ochre. So it does require a bit of some scrubbing to actually dissolve the pigment. And the colors again seems to be a bit pale to me. We have cadmium red here. Cadmium red is a bit stronger. This is Alizarin Crimson. This is quite bright, quite nice, except this is not light fast. Next we have Prussian Blue. This is how the colors look like when they are dissolved. They are not as intense as I like them to be. In fact, they are quite pale. In case you're wondering, maybe this is because of the lousy paper. Well, let me show you some swatches. These are from tube paints. I cannot remember the particular brand, but you can see how strong the colors are. And this is from the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks. Again, you can see how strong the colors are, and compare that to Winsor & Newton watercolor sticks. I'm a bit disappointed. Maybe it's the paper, maybe I did not use enough pigment. So let's try it on a better quality paper, and this time I'm going to dissolve the sticks with my watercolor brush and apply them like how I would do it with normal pen colors, and see how bright these colors can get. Let's use cadmium yellow hue. So I'm just going to dissolve it like this on the stick itself and apply it onto the paper. I think it looks a bit stronger right now, maybe because I'm able to use more pigment. Let me try cadmium red hue. It takes a while to actually dissolve the pigment, and if you are going to use the sticks on paper and then dissolve it, it's almost impossible to get a flat wash like this. And this is actually, I would consider this to be quite pale as well, not very strong, not very intense. So it really depends on how much pigment you can get out of the sticks. You need to spend a bit more time to actually dissolve the pigment in order to get a stronger shade. This is Winsor green blue shade. Let's try this. Oh, this is a very nice effect. One thing that I really like about the watercolor sticks is you can use a water brush and maybe dissolve some of the colors on the brush first, and then you can create splatters like this. Very, very tiny splatters. Or you can put more water like that and create bigger splatters. This is very nice. I like it a lot. If I were to do the same effect with watercolor tubes or watercolor pens, I would have to dip my brush into the wash and then either use my finger to splatter it or use a card to splatter with the brush. So with the watercolor sticks, you can do this effect rather easily. And let me wet the tip and use it to draw and see what effect we can get. Oops, this is very wet. I'm going to start drawing with the edge first and see if I can get very thin lines. It actually dries out very quickly, even though the tip is wet. So let me dip it here and draw. You can see that it dries out almost immediately. So it's not very useful to dip the stick into water and draw like that. Let's compare the colors that are dissolved from the stick versus those that are dissolved on the paper. Main difference to me is if you dissolve it from the sticks, you can get flat washes very easily, as if you are using watercolor pens. On the paper, some of the pigments, they don't dissolve 100%, so you get that grainy look. The more important thing is I'm still not very impressed by the intensity of the colors. They still look a bit washed out to me, especially when you compare them against, again, Daniel Smith watercolor sticks. So let's do something else. Let's try another effect. So just now I mentioned that I want to try drawing with the sticks on wet surface. Let's do that right now. So this is quite wet. This is actually 100% cotton paper, so this is very durable and I think more suitable for use with watercolor sticks because you can actually just scrub the paper. This color, the green color, oh, this is quite nice. Once you start drawing, you can see some of the colors, they actually just explode out. Let's try that with Prussian Blue. I'm going to use the edge here, and then I'm going to use the side. I'm going to press down a bit harder, and now using this technique I'm able to get very intense colors. So let me try it out with the less intense color that I wasn't able to get earlier on. So this is cadmium yellow hue. I wasn't able to get the strong colors just now when I use it dry on dry and then dissolve it. So now I'm using it on wet paper and it makes a huge difference. You can see just how strong these colors are. So I think it really depends on the technique that you use. Now I'm going to wet this piece of paper and try to blend a cadmium red together with ultramarine to try to form a nice shade of purple. So this is 100% cotton paper. Let me try cadmium rate right now. I have to work very fast. Something like this. It doesn't flow down, as you probably can see. The colors, they don't flow down. So the only way to blend the colors is to actually use them like a wash, so they don't flow that much. So what are the watercolor sticks good for? Well, to color a sketch like this, I would not use the sticks dry and then try to fill in the areas and then dissolve it. These are actually colored from pen colors. I would use the watercolor sticks to their advantage, which is to create texture. So for example, I want the ground here, this area here, to have texture. I'm going to wet this area with my squirrel brush. And then later on I will apply the green stick. Perhaps I would try to apply yellow and Prussian blue so as to get the colors that I want instead of using the phthalo green, the Winsor green. So I'm going to use yellow like this. It looks like my pencil has dissolved in the water, so making this a bit dirty. So now I'm going to use the Prussian blue earlier on. It's a bit messy when you have sticks like this. You can see my hand right now, it's a bit dirty. It seems that the yellow doesn't blend that well together with the blue to give me a green. And maybe for the background, I'm going to try again to use my brush. I'm going to wet it first and give it maybe a red background. Let's try it with the red color. Quite nice. Maybe try blend it with some orange. I think you can blend like this, and perhaps with some ultramarine. This is a nicer shade of green. It doesn't blend that nice with yellow ochre and Alizarin Crimson. Oh, this is a nice purple. So as long as the surface is wet, you can blend it, and I think the effect actually looks quite nice if you use it like this. Alright. So here we have colors that are colored with the watercolor pen. So we have very flat washes here, but outside here we use watercolor sticks. So this gives it more texture, and when I look at it like this, it feels more dimensional. And lastly, to top it off, perhaps I want to do some splatter. Again, this is playing to the advantage of the watercolor sticks. Just wet it first and then splatter. Alright, now that I have made a mess of this box, let me just remove this foam insert, which is quite difficult to remove. Alright, so let me just put my sticks like this. And let me throw in the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks as well. Alright. So as you can see with the Winsor & Newton professional watercolor sticks, you can get different effects based on the different ways you use them. Personally, for me, I would try to avoid using them dry on dry paper and then dissolving them with water, because I can't seem to get the intensity that I'm looking for. When I dissolve them on the sticks, I can get slightly more intense color, but I think the best way to use them, at least for me, is to use them on a wet surface. That way I can get the very strong colors, and I can also play to the advantage of the watercolor sticks to create textures like this. This kind of textures you cannot create with watercolor tubes or pens, so that is the one highlight of the watercolor sticks here. And also you can create splatter quite easily with the sticks as well. Another thing to note is I think depending on your subject matter, some subject matter would be good for use with watercolor sticks. Things like background perhaps. For detail work like sketches, those sticks, they are not able to go into detail areas. So, or the sticks are not good for portrait drawing, for example, because it is too granular. That's all for today's review. If you have any questions, do feel free to post them in the comment section below. I will also post some scanned images of these color charts and drawings in the video description so that you can check them out in higher resolution. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check out my other product reviews as well from the playlist. Bye, see you in the next video.